Introduction. When it comes to relationships and attraction, mystery plays a powerful role. Not everything a man feels, thinks, or experiences should be revealed, especially when it comes to women. There are certain truths, vulnerabilities, and personal struggles that, once spoken, can completely change how a woman perceives you, sometimes in ways that cannot be undone. In this video, must watch. 5 secrets every man must never tell women. She'll never see you the same. We'll uncover the hidden truths that men must keep guarded if they want to maintain respect, admiration, and desire. These are not about lies or deception, but about understanding the psychology of attraction and the importance of boundaries. The moment you reveal too much, you risk eroding the very mystery and strength that draws women to you. 1. Never reveal your deep insecurities. One of the greatest lessons in life is learning to keep your deepest insecurities to yourself, because the moment you expose them recklessly, you give other people silent weapons that can be used against you, whether intentionally or unconsciously. Human nature is complex. While some individuals may sympathize, many will lose respect for you if they see the cracks in your armor too clearly. This doesn't mean you should never open up or that vulnerability is inherently wrong, but there is a difference between controlled vulnerability and raw exposure. Controlled vulnerability builds trust and connection, but oversharing your deepest fears, doubts, and wounds often shifts the power dynamic in relationships. When people know what keeps you up at night or what makes you feel small, they begin to view you differently, sometimes with pity, sometimes with superiority, and sometimes with quiet judgment. Even those who care about you may unconsciously place you in a weaker position in their mind. In friendships, romance, or professional life, this can slowly erode respect, attraction, and influence. The truth is, everyone carries insecurities, but the strong learn to master them, manage them, and reveal only what serves a higher purpose rather than what simply unloads emotional baggage. Instead of telling people your deepest wounds, you must learn to process them privately, strengthen yourself internally, and present an image of composure to the world. This is not about living in denial, but about self-mastery, choosing carefully when, where, and with whom to share your hidden struggles. For example, if you constantly tell someone you feel unworthy, unattractive, or incapable, they may begin to treat you according to that script, no matter how much they once admired you. Confidence is built not by exposing your brokenness for validation, but by working on yourself quietly until the insecurity no longer defines you. True resilience comes from being able to acknowledge your insecurities in your own mind while refusing to let them dictate your identity. The more you guard your inner world, the more power and dignity you retain, because mystery adds strength and respect. People are drawn to those who radiate calmness, stability, and quiet assurance, not those who spill every weakness hoping for comfort. Reserve your deepest confessions only for rare, trusted relationships where mutual strength and loyalty have already been proven. And even then, share in a way that communicates growth rather than helplessness. Life will always test you, but your strength lies in what you choose to reveal and what you choose to keep fortified within. By never revealing your deep insecurities carelessly, you protect your dignity, preserve respect, and maintain control over your personal narrative, ensuring that others see you as strong and capable rather than fragile and dependent. Single quotes to talk about past failures in detail when it comes to building respect, influence, or attraction in any area of life. One of the most overlooked principles is the way you handle your past failures. Everyone experiences setbacks, mistakes, and disappointments, but the way you choose to communicate them has a direct impact on how others perceive your character. Talking about failures in detail often backfires because it shifts the focus from who you are now to who you used to be at your lowest point. When you go into long, graphic accounts of your mistakes, whether it's a failed relationship, a job loss, financial struggles, or personal weaknesses, you unconsciously paint yourself as someone still tied to those moments rather than as a person who has grown beyond them. This doesn't mean you should hide or deny that failures happened. On the contrary, acknowledging them with honesty shows maturity. But the difference lies in presentation. The key is to frame failures as lessons, not as stories to relive. When you keep revisiting painful details, you risk sounding like you're seeking sympathy, making excuses, or dwelling on what should have been left behind. People naturally respect individuals who can own their past without being enslaved by it. A brief mention: I've been through setbacks, but I learned discipline and resilience from them is powerful because it shifts the spotlight from the failure itself to the transformation you achieved. On the other hand, spending 10 minutes describing every betrayal, financial loss, or personal shortcoming drains your energy and lowers your perceived confidence. Leaders, attractive individuals, and high-value people know how to use their failures as stepping stones, not as anchors. The ability to say more with less builds intrigue, communicates strength, and keeps the conversation oriented toward growth and possibility instead of regret. Think of it this way: the past is useful only if it adds weight to your present, not if it steals attention from it. A man or woman who is constantly revisiting their failures signals unresolved wounds, and unresolved wounds can make others hesitant to trust, invest, or connect deeply. Therefore, The wiser approach is to distill the essence of your failures into the lessons you've extracted: discipline, patience, wisdom, adaptability, and then let those qualities shine in the present moment. This way, your past serves as a silent foundation, not as the headline of your life story. Ultimately, the respect you gain comes not from how much you can share about your darkest times, but from how gracefully you carry the evidence of growth without making your scars the center of attention. So remember, talk less about what went wrong, talk more about what you've become, and allow your current actions to prove that failure was nothing more than a stepping stone to the person you are today. 3. Keep financial struggles private in life. One of the most important lessons for personal dignity, respect, and peace of mind is learning to keep financial struggles private. Money is one of the most sensitive aspects of human existence, and the way you handle it often shapes how others perceive you. When you openly share your financial hardships with everyone, you risk being judged, pitied, or even exploited. Some people may pretend to empathize, but behind closed doors, they might see you as irresponsible, weak, or less capable. Others may use your vulnerability as leverage, treating you differently or distancing themselves from you because they no longer view you as stable or reliable. True strength lies in your ability to face financial difficulties with discretion, discipline, and self-control. Keeping these struggles private does not mean carrying the burden alone, but rather choosing carefully who is genuinely trustworthy and who can actually help. Instead of broadcasting your struggles, focus on practical solutions such as budgeting wisely, cutting unnecessary expenses, increasing your skills, or finding new. Avoid oversharing emotional trauma. One of the most important lessons in emotional intelligence is learning when and how to share personal struggles, especially deep emotional trauma. While honesty and vulnerability are essential for building meaningful connections, oversharing trauma too quickly or with the wrong people can create consequences that leave you feeling exposed, misunderstood, or even judged. Trauma carries weight, and when you place that weight on others without context or trust, it may overwhelm them or distort their perception of you. Often people think sharing everything at once will bring closeness, but in reality it can trigger discomfort, pity, or a sense of emotional imbalance in the relationship. Healthy vulnerability is not about unloading every painful detail. It is about choosing carefully what to reveal, when to reveal it, and to whom. By avoiding the impulse to overshare, you maintain your dignity, your personal power, and your boundaries. This does not mean suppressing your experiences. It means respecting the fact that your story deserves safe spaces and trustworthy listeners. Oversharing can sometimes stem from a desire for validation, attention, or immediate intimacy, but true healing comes from gradually opening up in ways that foster respect and understanding, not dependence or awkwardness. In professional settings, sharing too much personal trauma can affect your credibility and shift focus away from your strengths and contributions. In personal relationships, dumping unprocessed pain onto someone too soon can create pressure and make them withdraw rather than draw closer. Instead, practice discernment. Ask yourself whether the person has earned the right to hear your story, whether they have the capacity to handle it, and whether sharing it will actually serve your growth. Therapy, journaling, or private reflection are healthier outlets for processing deep wounds before they are shared with others. Think of your trauma as something sacred. You don't need to put it on display for validation. Share in layers, test trust, and only reveal more when mutual respect has been established. Protecting your experiences in this way is not about being secretive, but about honoring your healing journey. The key is to recognize that people connect best when they see both your strength and your humanity, not just your scars. If you want to build stronger bonds, share lessons you've learned from your past rather than unprocessed pain. This turns your story into wisdom rather than burden. Remember, your trauma is not your identity. It is part of your history, not the totality of who you are. Avoiding oversharing doesn't mean avoiding vulnerability. It means being intentional and wise in how you reveal your truth. When you practice this balance, you safeguard your emotional well-being, deepen trust with others, and maintain healthy relationships that are built on strengths, respect, and genuine connection rather than pity or emotional overwhelm. 5. Never admit lack of options with women. One of the most crucial lessons in male psychology and attraction dynamics is understanding why you should never admit a lack of options with women. No matter how much you like a woman or how sincere you feel in the moment, attraction is not only built on what you say or do, but also on the perception you create. And perception is everything in human relationships. When you tell a woman, directly or indirectly, that she is your only choice, that you rarely get attention from other women, or that you desperately need her approval, you instantly lower your value in her eyes because you strip away the qualities that make you appear desirable and abundant. Women, like men, are naturally drawn to people who are socially validated, who others want to be around, and who appear to have multiple opportunities in life. A man with options signals confidence, status, independence, and strength, whereas a man with none communicates insecurity, desperation, and scarcity. This doesn't mean you should lie or pretend to have an endless list of admirers, but it does mean you should always carry yourself as though you are a man in demand. someone who chooses women rather than begging to be chosen. When you admit you have no other options, the dynamic shifts. She feels pressure that you're placing your entire happiness and identity on her acceptance, and that makes her less attracted because attraction thrives on freedom, not obligation. On the flip side, when you present yourself as a man with standards, a man who values himself and knows he could walk away if disrespected, you create a natural aura of mystery and power. Women respect men who are not easy to capture, who have boundaries, and who maintain self-respect even in the presence of beauty. Remember, scarcity is not attractive, abundance is. Even if you are currently single with no immediate prospects, your mindset should reflect abundance. Focus on your purpose, build your social skills, develop your lifestyle, and naturally more options will appear. This way, when you interact with women, you won't feel the need to overcompensate or prove yourself, because your life already proves your worth. The subtle but powerful truth is that attraction is less about having a perfect line and more about embodying the energy of a man who is not dependent on one person for his sense of validation. By never admitting lack of options, you protect your masculine frame, you maintain an aura of confidence, and you allow women to feel they are genuinely winning your attention rather than being handed it by default. In the end, women want to feel like they earned the presence of a man who is admired, respected, and desired by others, not like they are rescuing a man from loneliness. Carry yourself as if you could walk away at any moment, and ironically, that is exactly what will make them want to stay.